Welcome back to the Breakfast Club. It's 9:12, and time for Talk of the Town.
Richard Helms, Vice Chairman of the Union County Board of County Commissioners, joins us. Good morning, Richard. How you doing?
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Doing well. You got a long day today.
Yeah, we got a long day today.
Mm-hmm.
First, before we get started, I wanted to congratulate you, Archie, and your WIXE team on being awarded the North Carolina Station of the Year. That's an exceptional accomplishment.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. We were all kind of caught off guard. I knew but I made the announcement over a lunch. Most of the staff were speechless. Some jaws were gaped open.
We were waiting for Alan Funt to come in and say you're on candid camera.
But, it's always nice to be recognized, and we appreciate that.
We thank you for what you do.
Thank you. So the commissioners are going to meet tonight at 7 and going to vote. You got a number of things. Some old and some new business.
We got some old and new. We've got some items that are on the consent agenda that are, I think, that probably need to talk a little more about.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got potentially the budget is going to be presented tonight.
Okay.
And then we'll have to decide if we're going to take action on that.
Okay. Any surprises in there?
I don't know how to answer that, Archie. There are some items that I'm very concerned about in the sense that we've got, depends on who you talk to, we've got between $5 and $12 million in excess revenue, but yet there's a tax increase in the budget proposal.
Okay.
And now we had a bond referendum this year for Union County Public Schools, the library, and South Piedmont.
Right.
And that passed. And
Sure.
along goes with a bond, there is expected potential tax increase there, too.
Mm-hmm.
But there's the thing that probably concerns me as much as anything is there's proposed fire tax increases that we have a difference of opinion on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I live in the Wesley Chapel area, but I'm in the Mineral Springs Fire District.
Oh.
Your fire tax is going to go up 2 cents.
All right. Do the math on that. What would that be for, say, a $100,000 home?
Well, it'd be basically 2 cents per 100.
Okay.
So you put me on the spot there. Do the math.
Yeah. Not my strong suit.
No, me either.
All right. The EMS agreement extends and revises the agreement between the county and the Carolinas Union Healthcare.
That's correct.
This has been going on since 2014.
Yeah, I had the good fortune of working on that committee to get that set up, and I've been very pleased with the accomplishments that EMS has made over the past several years. And one of the things that we did was ensure that the ambulances stayed out remotely in the area, so those senior citizens, young people that live out in the remote areas can get a reasonable response time.
How long have they done that, Richard?
They've been doing it since the new contract.
Oh, really?
We
Okay.
changed the concept back then, and they went to, at that time they were going to 12-hour shifts.
Okay.
And along with 12-hour shifts, they were staying in the ambulance as opposed to staying in the fire stations or wherever they were. So they had, there's an item called a shoot time. And the shoot time is from the time they receive the call to the time the wheels are rolling. And prior to that agreement, it was taking about 3 minutes for that to transpire.
To go from the building into the ambulance?
And wheels start rolling.
Right.
Last I heard, it's down to about 40 seconds.
Yeah.
And, if you talk to the fire community is looking for less than 90 seconds for them to get their turnout gear on and get on the trucks and get rolling. So I think this has made a significant difference in our response for EMS.
How do they determine where these ambulances are going to be? They're just data from where they've been in the past, or what's the likelihood?
It's probably the working experience of the staff and activities. They look at activities. In the budget this year is a product called Marvelous. And Marvelous was proposed last time to bring all the ambulances in at night because you probably have your most incidents along the Highway 74 corridor.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to bring all ambulances in, but that exposed the remote parts of the county.
Yeah.
And my personal concept is they've got 2 supervisors, and those supervisors ought to know what's going on during their shift.
Mm-hmm.
And they have GPS on the ambulance, so they ought to be able to place those ambulances where they.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Gosh, I would just think that just to sit in an ambulance, I mean, you got to really like who you're paired with.
Yeah, it's exactly
I mean,
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
and we've all seen them. They're sitting out at a convenience store somewhere, and they just sitting.
Yeah, like I've seen an ambulance. It looks like one of the places they have decided is the Polk Mountain store.
Yeah.
Like sitting out there.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because if it had to come all the way from
Well, yeah.
here, that's a long ride
That's
out
a long
there.
ride out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they can get to the edges of the county and be in an area. I have seen. I didn't know that's what they were doing, but it makes sense to me now.
Right.
And that's a concern. And the concern I have in there's 2 motions in the budget. One is a thing called community paramedic, and I've asked for financial data that justifies this because I know that I used to be on the hospital board,
Mm-hmm.
and the hospital was looking at doing a community paramedic because and I just got out of the hospital. If I went back too soon, the hospital has to eat those charges because of Medicare.
Okay.
And Medicaid. And so therefore it behooves them to make sure when they send you home that you've got what you need at home and things of that nature.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then the other piece was changing the response times by grids, and out at your Polk Mountain, they being given an extra minute to arrive there. Well, I have a little concern with that, because some of us at our age, I mean, that minute may make the difference between life and death.
Absolutely does.
So, that'll be something I want to talk about tonight.
Okay. Union County Public Schools was initially given about $150,000 for GPS systems in the 2017 budget. Instead, the Board of Education chose to utilize an operational lease over the GPS systems. Their decision saved them $140,000 plus, and they've now requested that they be able to use the available funds towards the purchase of 4 activity buses. That'll cost almost pushing $800,000. The way I understand it, the money that's given, you correct me.
Okay.
The money given to the school system, you really can't tell them how they spend it.
Once it's passed over,
Yeah.
for the most part, there are some. I think last year we passed it over with projects, and it gave a little more control.
Mm-hmm.
But the GPS thing you're talking about, there's some reason they want to do things different with that.
Okay.
And I tell you what, we've got a marvelous relationship with the Board of Education. We've got some great people on there. We talk. I mean, yesterday I spoke to several.
Glad to hear it.
So that's a real positive. But this GPS thing, depends on how they pay for it. Next year, the state may pick up the charges.
Oh.
So that's what you're trying to facilitate. Now, as for the activity buses, you save that $140,000 by going to the lease, and it depends on where you want to put it. It might be a difference of opinion there.
Mm-hmm.
The activity buses, and I go back when I was working with the band association at Sun Valley High School, and we had to rent those buses. Well, that money goes into a kitty to replace buses. Well, they've got $700,000 in that kitty. So, my question has been to the school board: why aren't you planning on using that money that you've been saving up to buy these activity buses?
Yeah.
Use that, and we'll have that discussion. But
Okay.
the nice thing about it this year, it's a civil conversation.
You're talking.
And just talking.
What do you attribute that to? Because there was a time, you remember, that went to court and all that stuff. What changed?
I think we've got some school board members now that their agenda is to make the schools the best they can be, and they realize the 2 boards have to work together. I think we've got some commissioners that want to work with the school boards. The communication is marvelous.
Right. I'm glad to hear it.
I'm extremely pleased. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to agree on everything.
Sure, no, but at least you're talking.
We're talking,
we weren't talking
and
before.
we've come to some mutual agreements that works for both.
All right, let me ask you now. I've never bought an activity bus, but these 4 buses are going to cost $779,000. Let's call it $800,000. An activity bus costs $200,000.
Close to it.
Really?
The interesting part is I think back.
That's amazing.
Back in the
it's not
in
an
the
RV.
70s, I bought an activity bus. I was in charge of the young people's group at church.
Yeah.
And it cost $23,000. So yeah, it's changed a lot.
$200,000 for a bus.
180 is what I remember, and I don't hold me to that though. But it's significant.
It better be a real good bus.
They got TVs on it.
God,
man.
Also, they saved some money out at Sun Valley with some HVAC work, and they've now requested that those savings be appropriated towards 4 projects. They need some different things out there. Any problem with that?
No, I see. That's where we're working together.
Yeah,
they're working to get more accurate projections on their expenditures, and so therefore, when they have one that comes a little under, they want to move the funds, and I think we've worked very well.
I mean, it seems like if they're able to save some money on a certain project, why not let them use those funds for other projects?
True. It's the funds won't come back to the county. It's not something that doesn't work that way.
Right.
But
they're wanting to they need a new chiller replacement at the Unionville Elementary. They need a fire alarm upgrade at Marvin. They need a fire alarm upgrade at Prospect. I mean, needed things. I don't see a problem there, and let them use some saved money for some other stuff. The board tonight's going to vote on whether or not to adopt the proposed fiscal year 2018 operating and capital budget ordinance and the associated tax rates and fees. Now, the total operating budget accounts for $413 million, approximate $254 million from the county's operations and utilities, another $159 from for schools. One thing that they started doing that got a lot of folks upset is now in your tax bill, they show you what's going to the schools. And I think a lot of people didn't realize. And now we have social media, of course, so people like to post their tax bills. And, even on your vehicle tax, when you get that in the mail, it tells you how much of that is going to schools. So I don't think the school board liked that when it first started. But that's called transparency.
Well, and that was the key. Try to be transparent. People don't understand. Schools are a major part, in the neighborhood of 57% of the total expenditures of the county.
There you go. I mean, that's substantial.
So it's significant, and we need to be frugal with how we spend that money. You're talking about the chillers just a little while ago.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff wasn't taken care of in the past, and so we've got a little bit of catching up to do. So there are expenses we need to anticipate. And so I'm real excited. There's new staff over there in a lot of those positions. And I think we're working very well together. But we're having that dialogue.
They stagger the election for county commission. When does that come up again?
Well, we've got one not this November, the following November.
Following November.
So you'll be registering probably in January.
Yeah.
And there'll be 3 commissioners up.
Oh, really? Who's up?
That will be Lance Simpson, Jerry Simpson, and Stoney.
Okay. But still, oh gosh, a ways off.
Yeah, it's a little ways off.
We've got a ways.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So, aside from that, the commissioners approved a sheriff agreement. Tell us about that.
Well, we're working with the sheriff right now. I mean, his part of his budget's in the overall budget.
Yeah, always is, and he always needs more room.
Well, and there's growth. If you look at how Union County has grown, and probably his department more than anyone else, they have to accommodate that growth to be able to give us coverage in the county.
Sure.
And so I tell you, we're really blessed that we've got a sheriff. He normally gives us money back. because he's very accountable in how he spends his funds and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So it's we've got a great working relationship with Eddie Cathy, and we're really blessed to have that gentleman down there working for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's always, it's hard to find something negative.
Oh, you can't find anything negative.
Mm-hmm.
He's how many sheriffs when you call him, he picks up the phone and
Yeah.
he talks to you.
Yeah.
And so it's like I said, we're very fortunate. The
Mm-hmm.
sheriff has got what they asked for is very modest.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some changes going on. They've got we funded in the past the new shooting range, the training range that will be completed later this year,
Mm-hmm.
and so that may create some opportunities, and so I'm looking forward to seeing the completion of that.
Yeah. We're getting our share of roundabouts, it seems like, around the county. A roundabout always seemed funny to me. It's like, I'm not disparaging engineers, but I will this one time. It just seems like 5 roads come together and nobody knows what to do, so they just pave the whole thing. Let them figure it out.
And I can tell you that the first time, I live up near Wesley Chapel.
Yeah.
And that first roundabout, I said, oh, no. I love it.
Yeah.
I really do. It's the only concern I personally have a roundabout, and I sit on that CARPO, the Charlotte Regional Transportation
Yeah.
Group, and my concern is the selection of where they're going. The county doesn't have as much involvement as I think we should.
Oh.
And give you an example, they were going to build a department, a little Dollar General down at 200 and Providence Road.
Mm-hmm.
So the developers asked Stoney and I to come look at them, and they dropped a round picture and it had a roundabout, and we hadn't heard anything.
Hmm.
And so we've got some intersections that need to be fixed. I know that's a problem intersection, has higher crash volumes than some,
Yeah.
but is it the most severe in the county? Well, my personal opinion is I think local officials should have more input into that. And so we're working towards some of that.
Well, I haven't seen any yet that was 3 lanes. The first roundabout I was ever on was outside of Boston. I didn't know where I was going. This thing was 3 lanes. Shane was with me. We rode around for probably 10, 15 minutes trying to figure out
where to get off.
Where to get off. It was like Bristol race.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's intimidating. It really is.
I was in that rental car.
So,
Richard, we appreciate you coming in. Anything going on we need to talk about with the county?
No, we've got a lot of opportunity going on in the county right now. We need to get past this budget and identify what we actually need to do. Like I said, with that much revenue, excess revenue, I made the statement at one of our meetings that it wasn't a budget, it was a spending plan.
Oh.
And that's not my style. I'm more conservative, and especially when you're trying to raise taxes and you got excess funds over here.
Okay, so that's the obvious question.
Yeah.
Why not take the excess funds to, go against the tax increase?
Well, if you look at what was actually proposed, it's a growth plan.
Okay.
And you've got all this. It's kind of like, I know you just moved, and you say, well, I've got, my house payment's not as much. I got all this money. I got to go spend it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not necessarily a smart thing to do.
Right.
So that's what we've got to do: assess what we actually need to grow to accommodate what our citizens need.
Yeah.
Or are we just growing to be growing? And I have a problem when we have that much excess, and you're still doing a tax increase.
Yeah. Right.
So that's part of the conversation.
What is the proposed tax increase?
It'll take it from 0.76 to 0.7830. The thing about it is that we had that 3.09 that the bonds authorized.
Okay.
So we're minimizing that, but the schools are picking up most of that. That's what the proposal is.
Okay.
That schools pick up most of that. County's picking up very little. But when we're planning on spending, the initial package that came out was over $10 million extra on a list of items. I have trouble understanding.
All right, so there's still a little work to go.
I think there's some work we need to do, and we've
fun.
got till the end of the month.
Yeah. So that's what tonight's meeting's all about.
That's correct.
Richard, appreciate your time this morning. Come in and talk about it, and when it's all said and done, maybe we can get you back and talk about the finished product.
Would love to.
Once you put a bow on it. Thanks, Richard.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.